Welcome to George Coll Fine Art. Here, the viewer is encouraged to get outside and paint from life. George's job is to provide the tools to solve the many technical challenges faced in rendering landscape paintings. View the library of landscape paintings offered and become a subscriber. You can also purchase tutorial videos, plus original tutorial and studio paintings. Thank you. And if you like what you see, click the subscribe button and join in on the fun.
Hello and welcome to part one of Monticello. I don't know how many parts I'm going to have to this. We're going into a new phase, more of an intermediate and intermediate beyond standard of painting. And today was block-in, so that's pretty familiar with everybody that's been following me for the last 2 or 3 years. That block-in, we're going to cover this whole thing with some sort of a color value that's in thin paint. So we're applying this to a higher level and challenging ourselves with a new type of brushes, new kind of surface that we're painting on, and a medium. So that's the new stuff that I'm introducing today on part one of Monticello. So get outside and paint. Paint with your friends, get critiques, and don't be intimidated by a white canvas. Okay, let's get started with part one. All right. Hello and welcome to a new video. And I'm not quite sure how many parts I'm going to have because it's a new section for me, and we're doing a larger painting at a higher level of trying to figure this thing out. And so this would be more intermediate and intermediate plus for this type of painting. For the last 2 or 3 years I've been doing videos which are for beginner and intermediate. So we're stepping up the game and getting a little bit farther on. So the name of this painting is Monticello, which is in Utah. This location is somewhere between Moab and Monticello. And I want to talk about composition first. When I look at the composition of this painting, I try to find a foundation line. And what I see is there's a difference between the foreground and the mesas. And that line that divides the mesa and the foreground is smack in the middle of the painting. And I think it's just too much foreground. I'm going to increase the size of the mesas and decrease the foreground. So I'm going to do my first foundation line with a number 2, round. So what should I mix? So I'm going to just make a burnt sienna, ultra blue, add some yellow to it, and I've got just a nice light brown. So I'm getting the stiffness out of my brush with some Gamsol, and now I'm drying it in my paper towel and dipping it into my medium. For right now I'll just call it the 114. So let's put the dividing line kind of in the lower third down in this area and measure to see if that is not going downhill. So I've got it about right there in the blue and right there in the blue. So I lucked out. One thing I know about I'm going to put the mesas up in here somewhere and some sort of a drop off over in here. So notice I haven't used any white. And I'm going to use I'd like more shadow. There's some shadow right here in the reference. I would like to make that area larger and kind of a lead in that area. So if I bring the upper cliff that's kind of about a third of the way into the painting, I'm going to move it over to about a fifth of the painting and then have it come out here and then drop down. And then back here, I'm going to figure out that this is going to be higher. I'm going to make the mesa on the right is going to be lower, just like it is in the reference. So I'm going to bring him over in here. But I don't need that much sky, so I'll bring this here and here, and I'm going to bring him, this guy, all the way over and here, and tail him off somewhere. Let's make a simplify some of these lines I've got going in here so you can see it. And those are my basic foundation lines. Okay. You know, my previous videos were 30 minutes apiece. These are going to go a little bit longer. I'm going to try for 45 and see how long that downloading is going to take on my little laptop computer. So this is going to come down here, and then we're going to have a little thing here, or maybe even lower. And bring him into this area here. As you can see, I move into one side. I mean, looking at my palette, I get the my medium kind of mixed into one side. This would be no medium, and then you can see the medium here. It's rather thin, and I'm just working off of one side. I'll keep working into it as I go. So we have this. I want to keep level and not sink, and there's a thing here, here, and here. We'll put another mountain behind it. They have these things called the LaSalle Mountains over there that are, we can always choose those as backdrops and make them up. So you can see now I have more area here to play with, and that would be my desired thing that I have in my mind so far to get this thing going. I'm going to put this great big, going to be some trees over here, and there's two really nice juniper trees I want to put, and I'll put them over in this area here. And I'm going to shrink the size of them. I like these. They're going to be over in this area. Maybe not quite as fat as that. And try to get an idea where these things might be. I could probably be using a bigger brush for this. I'll put a shadow over here, and then some sort of a scraggly old tree. I like that. Maybe a dead old juniper over in this area in here. Not getting too complicated yet. Now, what I like is there's some sort of a lead in here with these junipers. This one is going to be a little bit more this way. This one's going to be a little smaller. This lead in is rather important. And then I have a lot of junipers up on the dividing line up in here. I want to get rid of that line there. Okay, now I have a big shadow area, and I'm going to move the shadow over this way and make it larger. And it's going to go approximately right here and down and somewhere in here. So that shadow is going to go approximately somewhere in here. Didn't need this much strength on this line here. And there's junipers on top of this mesa also. All right, so now I want to get rid of this line because I think it goes uphill just a little bit. We'll have kind of a hill going this way. And we will do that like this. Boy, you know when you make things up, it takes more time to think it out. But the nice thing about working on these smooth surfaces, I've got 3 gessos here and then I sanded it. It's pretty easy to erase. But I see that back in here, it's going to be more of a story going on in here. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to go like out here and down. And this is going to go out here and in here. This is going to be a really neat little shadow area. Going to be some other shadows in other places also. I think I can put an angle here too. This area around Monticello and Moab is a great place to hang out and paint. One of my favorite places. It's really good for spring season and fall season, but boy, in the summertime it's just too blazing hot to be there. That's why I like the Rocky Mountains where I live, because I can have the Rocky Mountains in the summertime. Okay, without trying to get too complicated here, there's shadow over in here too. Shadow in a few places. And there's going to be some juniper snaking into these areas here. Now there's a lower section of juniper. So there's this one going in. This is shadow. And then there's a lower section of juniper leading in. Much smaller junipers, thank you. I have more junipers in here. There's kind of a junction of junipers. Sounds good, a junction of junipers. I'm going to put a real sharp bottom edge on these guys in the back. Just trying to get some sort of shadow design in here. There's some yellow type grass in here too, so I'm going to accent that across here, and so there's like different sizes of juniper, and the less in here and more in here. All right, never hurts to get back and see where you're at with this thing. All right, I want to be more defined with junipers. So to do that, I'm going to make a little bit more, pick this brown stuff up, mix some blue into it, and then some yellow. And I'm going to put some more brown, and more brown, or burnt sienna, or transparent oxide red, whatever you have. That's a nice juniper color. Let me get some white in here. That I like. It looks more like the reference I've given you off to the side here. Okay, so I've moved up to number 4 brush, and I'm really gooping it up on both sides. I've got some medium on it, and I could use some more brown and blue. Brown, blue, ultra blue. It looks great on the palette, but the best test is on your canvas. And when you see it on there, you can immediately go, oh, that's not quite right. That's not what I wanted. There, now we have some more strength to this. So I'm just going in pretty cautiously with a little bit of color. Just not knocking it out of the park yet. Just want to go in cautiously. And working these juniper designs. That's kind of the abstract design of the junipers. And there's junipers even way up in here. And then this is a main juniper area at the base of this fella here, righty, kind of working into those bushes. And then I have little junipers up in here. And bigger guys. These bushes up here are, they're not sage so much as they're just kind of a desert. Scrawny bush. I see them all over the place. The important thing to keep in mind is you need to have some separated and then some bunched together. like I see them tighter over here and a little bit more spaced as you go to the left. And then as they get to the top of the crown of this little hill that dips over, they're more bunched together. So I'll be doing more of this off camera because it's really boring for you guys to watch this the whole time before I get into my next adventure. All right. I'm going to get a little bit of white in here. And I'm going to go with a lighter color up on top because there's junipers up on top. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to give the feeling that things are farther away up there. A little bit more ultra blue. And okay, I think for now that'll give you enough working room to, if you look at your junipers, you can figure out the design as I did here and work on your foreground bushes, which I will do off camera. But let's move into shadow color. I'm cleaning my number 4 in Gamsol, and now I'm squeezing out the Gamsol and dipping it into the medium. So I'm going to get some cerulean and some ultra blue and some white. There we go. And I'm going to put some alizarin in there. And it's going to be kind of a reddish purple. Get a little cad red light in there, that'll bang it up a little bit. Okay, I'm dipping one more into the medium. And I'm going to make sure I wipe some of my drawing off so it doesn't influence my color that I'm putting down. The interesting thing about Moab and Canyonlands is just all the weird variations you find in the place. It's just amazing. You go, wow, nature sure has got an imagination. And that's the feeling I get every time I go over there. I've been going over there since the 70s, I guess. All right, I need some of this also over into this area. I guess I could take some of that brown I have down. I'm going to bring this up. Just like a little bit of variation. So I can also put some more streaks of shadow. I think there's some shadow pockets over in here. And I'm going to make them up more than they are there. They're there. And I'll put some up in here. Such a defined line, but and I think I need some light coming down on some of these. There, I'm gonna get back and take a look. And check my time to see how I'm doing here. See if I can do a really, really thin coat of something here that might say, hey, we're mountains in the background. I'm making this up. I'm just picking up this stuff to keep it thin. There's plenty enough time later for thicker paint. Oh, I was going to check my time. Whew. All right, let's think about all these fellas in here. So if we think about that, let's go more, gotta move kind of a gray warm. There is such a thing. So it's going to be kind of a pink. A very thin pink. So let's just try with some alizarin and white. A little bit of brown. A little bit more brown. Touch of yellow. And a lot more white. And more white, and more white. And more white. Okay. That might be one, and I think we need some stuff that's a little bit more, let's go yellow and red to make an orange, because we will need orange in this business. Oop, I made a dirty orange, but I think that'll work, because I had some green in that mixture from sloppy mixing from a previous painting. But let's see what we can do with this. And more white. And to make it gray, let's go with this little bit of red I have here. And I do have some green from that previous mixture of making the junipers. So let's make that. And a lot of white. And we need a little bit more on the green side to make a gray. And more white. And more white. A little bit more red. See how light these colors are? I'm really going in cautiously with these things and doing our thing here. So these different layers have different, these sandstone things have different colors of sandstone color. So we'll do it that way. So we're going to go in with this, the last one I made with a little bit more alizarin in it. And we're going to really make it thin here. And I'm going to go up to a certain level and maybe up into here till I change over to another level. So I'm going to go about this high up. And I might put just a little bit more of gray in that. It's a little too much paint, you see. So I'm going to smash it in and pick it up. The name of the game for me and for you that I'd like to impress is to put it in thin. Okay, let's use some of this same color over in here. And here. Because these two are related in geologic time. And I'm just putting base colors in. That's my dog, Tori. Please stop barking. Jeez. And we'll put some over in here. Let's go back to a different color now, and I'm going to go into a more of the yellow mixture. I think I need more white in there so I don't overdo the yellow. And we will get this bright guy with a little bit of red in it. See, we're kind of related, but not too related. We're a different geological time. And you can see you don't need much, and it makes a big difference. And we'll bring him up to here. All right, I've got 14 minutes to go. Stay with it. Ooh, that's making a big difference back here. Okay. And now let's make a new mixture of kind of a different pigment, a little bit similar to what we had down below. And we'll bring some over here. And we'll use some of that over in here too. Okay. Now let's get a darker mixture and throw some green into this and some alizarin. A little bit of white and some medium, and make these horizontals a little bit more stronger, richer pigment. Put that up in here. Oh, the colors are so pretty. I'm gonna keep these things thin. And thin. Smash them in there, or pick them up if you have a whole bunch of them. I think for the sky, we're just going to start with a cerulean and nice white, thin white. I think I need to make a deeper blue. Cerulean, cerulean, cerulean. Now, after I finish the sky, I'll go back down and work these colors in the foreground. Thin, thin, thin. Pretty goopy, but I'll thin it down with my knife. I've been experimenting with these colored textures I put down. I tone my canvas with these different colors. They're the Michael Harding colors. These gesso-y type colors he has. And yeah, so far so good. And pretty soon it'll be done, and then you'll see how I smooth it out because I have so many brush strokes through this whole thing. I think I'm going to bring this down and then up and kind of make it a little more interesting. And this line is kind of important. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this to smooth that all out. One is to just get your knife in here and smooth it out. Pick up all this excess. The other thing I do sometimes, and I'll show you the other technique, is to get a wider brush and to spread it around with that wider brush. But I misplaced it, so I'll go get my secondary backup brush. This great big, looks like a number 10 flat. So I'm going to just stick it into the Gamsol, really dry it out, and just try to pick it up and take off the excess with my paper towel. Sorry, so you can't see. You know, that thing really does need to go darker, but it's a good lock-in color, and that's a dumb design. I better come in here and do a little bit more work here and bring this way. Just to give a hint that there's more back there. For now. All right, so I'm going to clean this brush and start working in that foreground to show you how I'm going to do it. I want to do a two-tone. All right, so I have to do more bushes, okay? So I'm going to go back to my green mixture. Still have some left over. And I'm making patterns and I'm connecting some so they're not all individual guys. Looking at the reference at the same time. As I look at the reference, the trees are darker in value than these bushes. And somewhere along the line, I think that's a very good idea, and I'm going to probably do that myself. looks like they're a little bunchier over on this side, on the right side. And I'm just going to do this area, this lower section, this low 1/4 of the section. There's more yellow in here, I think. So let me get my design down. And then I can start working around it. So it's thicker here. Thinner over here in the way of bushes. There's some designs coming through here, but not too many. It's kind of a different design pattern up in there. But I'll put a few, since I have some left over, might as well use it. And I'll put a few more up in here. Oh, I forgot to put some shadow color in there. And I don't have any. So let me make a little bit of blue in here. I think there's like shadow color here and here. Should be more good. But at least I'll know where it is. I think there's some good shadow color over in this area too. And there's little shadows behind the bushes here, but boy, you're going to go nuts if you get every damn thing in here. But I will try my best to show examples of that along the way. All right, now I have these two red colors. I'm going to put them over here. The blue color, I can't save it. Don't have enough green to spit at, so. But I'm going to work with these yellowy colors here. Okay, I'm going to thin them down and put more white in it, and a little bit of green, which would be blue. I think mix some blue in there, and that'll get a little greeny. Little greeny. There we go. And that might be all we need. Again, let's thin this stuff, and I better go to a smaller brush. But I have to clean up my sky brush first. It's sitting around here. And we'll take care of that. So I'm going to go back to a number 2, dip it into my Gamsol. I'm sorry, into my medium. Gooping it up on all sides, and I'm kind of twirling the brush to get the product off of as many sides of this thing as I can. And this will give you an idea of what I am doing and how I do it. Now I'm going to come in later and work on these bushes, but I think the important thing is just try to get as much as you can without destroying too much of your bush and contaminating your yellow color. And you're starting to get the feeling now, since block-in is covering the whole thing with paint. This is going to be a pretty sunny, bright color here. Bright painting. Let me get back and see how that's working. Might be a little too bright. But so I'm going to add a little bit more blue. A little bit more blue on this side. and it's kind of a subtle yellowy green. Let's see if it shows up a little bit. I think we can get away with a little bit more blue. Ultra blue. And it still says, I'm pretty bright. Okay, not too bad. Now, if you have too much of your color that's that gray color coming through, you see I toned it in such a way, the toning color, it's not too bad. If you, I'm going to make some bush color right now, so I'm doing blue, brown, and yellow. Uh-oh, that's my timer. Sorry. And that brings us to the end of part 1. And thanks very much, and I'll see you in part 2. And we'll start working on top of these colors. So make sure you cover your whole canvas with paint before you get into part 2. All right. Bye.